For our project, our group chose a business called Rowcycle. You may be wondering, what exactly is Rowcycle? Rowcycle is a high-end fitness boutique studio based around the Netherlands, and it is offering trademark hospitality service that the customers really enjoy. It's currently solely in the Netherlands, but soon the company plans to take its business overseas, and this will create many opportunities for growth. We chose to interview 5 instructors from Rowcycle to understand what intrinsic motivational factors impact their perceived instructor performance and job satisfaction at Rowcycle. In order to do this, we set up a tandem interviewing process. We had 2 of our group members interviewing 1 candidate at a time. We decided to conduct our interviews in a cafe. We believed that this would create a relaxed environment that may foster trust and comfort more easily between us and the instructors. They may be comfortable to answer personal questions in such a setting. We then met together to transform our research question into open-ending questions. We had to think about how we could incorporate our theme of motivation. We thought that this would be possible through the use of academic papers and research about the sport coaching industry. Then we designed our open-ended questions using our underlying theme of motivation. We tried to be as unbiased as possible. Now I'm going to walk you through the process of the grounded theory. The open coding, memoing, and axial coding process was very helpful for understanding and building categories and connections for our information gathered from the interviews. In addition, it was useful in allowing us to piece together our thoughts and comments on how the information also furthered or supported our research question. Open coding is the process of breaking down, examining, comparing, conceptualizing, and categorizing data. You discover different categories, and then this helps you develop them for use later on. From the example on the screen, you can see how I highlighted steady income and while getting in shape and staying fit. Steady income shows security, whereas while getting in shape and staying fit symbolizes health. In our next example, I'm going to show you a similar way of how I decided to highlight an open code. In this example, it's a bit different. I highlighted very obvious, give me a woo, participate in cheering, and I know. Very obvious and I know seemed like confident qualities that the instructor had. In addition, give me a woo was a validation for praise or recognition from her riders, which is an intrinsic motivational factor. In this example, I highlighted everybody does their own thing and at their own pace. In addition, does not feel like I am a robot and a space to go with the flow. This showed that she likes control, independence, freedom, and later on also freedom and enjoyment. These are very important factors that play a role in intrinsic motivation. In another example for open coding, you can see I highlighted fill in a survey and eventually give the instructors a grade, and management demands, and I cannot get those grades. The fill in a survey and eventually gives the instructors a grade represents validation. And when I highlighted management demands, that shows control. In addition, when I highlighted I cannot get those grades, that shows doubt. These are all ways of showing either intrinsic or even extrinsic in this case because of the pressure that is put on the instructors to perform at such a high level that they do not feel like they can achieve. Next, I'm going to be talking about the memoing process, which consists of writing down your thoughts, comments about what you think certain items may represent and how it could be connected to other statements or overarching themes. In the example shown on the screen, it shows some memos that have been taken. Highlighted in this memo was that this instructor needs to support herself with money, but could this cause stress or dissatisfaction if it was the only thing keeping her at this job? In the next example, the memo highlights how this instructor likes the presence of control in the class for the riders and herself, which is an intrinsic factor. In addition, she's satisfied from the ability to create, which also represents some freedom. You can see also that during the interviewing process, we decided it was better to change the question from why do you change up your class routine to describe your teaching style and why you chose to lead that way. In the final example for memoing, you can see that this highlights management's failure of positive motivational methods and instead has created doubt, resentment, and pressure leading to less satisfaction. And it also was important for us to note the emotions and feelings that were felt by the instructor when we asked this question. It showed a significance in the workplace. Here on the screen, you can see the open codes that are related to our research overarching theme of motivation. For example, control, freedom, enjoyment, relationship, and validation can all be examples of items tied to intrinsic motivation. Axial coding is after open coding, where the researcher seeks to make links and find relationships between the concepts and categories derived from open coding. As you can see on our chart on the screen, we were able to further understand how the open coding was related to motivation. We developed our analysis into 4 bigger categories that tie our open codes that we found. Each category shows an intrinsic or extrinsic motivational factor that has influenced either their performance or job satisfaction. Let's take a look at a few examples. In the self category, you can see that security from income and financial gain are mostly tied to a bonus, or because they had to provide for themselves. These could be extrinsic factors. In comparison, the importance of freedom and independence at the workplace, which is control, is intrinsic. If we go over to the foundation of relationships, we see that coworkers are viewed as a family, and that Rowcycle feels like home, or they have decided to stay because they enjoy being around the riders. These are all examples of enjoyment or relationships of enjoyment, which are also intrinsic factors. However, we can see in the lack of control category that management demands, which is basically pressure, is an intrinsic factor which would impact their job performance. Next, I will discuss the first 2 interviews in depth, focusing on the techniques that we used. As mentioned before, we decided to do tandem interviewing in a cafe. We had asked the instructors to sign a permission form that we designed to allow us to use what they say solely for our project. Our questions are displayed on the next screen. We believe that we designed clear and specific questions that were able to provide us with sufficient data to help us build upon our research question. The questions gave the instructors a lot of room, we believe, to give a good answer, and they provided us with very trustworthy and honest information. In addition, sometimes they may have been shy, but overall they were very open and willing to give an answer. There were 2 brief moments where the interviewers conflicted and were speaking at the same time. But then they remembered that that's the great thing about tandem interviewing, that one can speak and the other is able to take notes, or vice versa. And they're able to share their responsibilities as they go along. In addition, at Rowcycle, the riders' encouragement motivates the instructors to teach at a high level. Although some instructors express that they would like to be recognized more by riders through creating a compliment wall space so that they know they are doing a good job. The instructors also enjoy spending time with their coworkers because they feel like a sense of family. In addition, one instructor said that she decides to stay at Rowcycle teaching because she enjoys the relationships that she has made with riders. They also like to have some control over the way that they are teaching these classes. Although the items discussed before were intrinsic factors that have been impacting instructors' job performance and satisfaction at Rowcycle, there are also several extrinsic factors that we found highlighted in our research material. For example, they felt pressured to get an 8 on their survey grading system from management because otherwise they would be viewed in a negative light or even shunned that they could do better. In addition, there was a huge emphasis on how the bonus, which is the money that they get from filling up a class, really motivated them to try to teach at such a high level so it would attract a lot of people to come to the class no matter what time it was occurring. So we were wondering what we could do better in our next interview. We noticed that we should go ahead and ask follow-up questions if they come up only with external motivational factors. In addition, we are going to try to continually improve our methods, and sometimes when we asked a more difficult question, this created an awkward silence. But we quickly rephrased the question so that it would become broader and easier for them to answer. During the next interviews, we are going to try to not do that. Even though it may cause some awkward silence, the answers we get will probably match our research question better. Thank you very much for listening, and we hope that we can answer any questions you may have.